Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Since the insurrection on January 6th, there have been calls by some of the Republicans in Congress, in the House of Representatives, saying that they would like to reach across the aisle, that now is the time for healing and peace, and now is the time for the Democrats who are standing in protest, so to speak, calling for charges and investigations, to let's say come to their senses and come up with some sort of a peace agreement. Okay, it's like the same thing happened after the Iraq War. Why doesn't that idea work? Tell you what, after the Iraq War, this is what collapsed the U.S. power base. Okay, this same crisis collapsed the U.S. power base, and the reason for it is that I'm going to show you. Bring out my little mock-up of the free power source invention. This top section right here is based on a sense of creating a sense of balance in your life. This is supposed to be, imagine there's a globe in here and it's spinning around. Okay, so it's marked with seven segments, and on each of the segments it's like let's say a top, and each of the segments, let's see if I can, has a different principle on it. Now, a better way to imagine it is like a wheel, and it's going like this. Okay? Now, imagine that if you were to cut out something like this, like a moon-shaped idea, or like a disc. Okay, imagine what would happen if a wheel was moving forward. We all want to progress in our lives, but what happens if there's a wheel there? It gets stuck on it, or if this indentation cut out of it. What would happen if this was a top, and it's spinning around with a stick and axis in it, and it's going around like a child's top, and it reached the point where it stopped moving, it would get stuck right there and it would move forward. So what we're doing is we're looking at the principles. Each one of these is a principle, and when it stops moving, if that principle is lacking, that's where it stops, your progress stops. Okay, so when you're looking at this idea of, these are the principles of universal law. When you're looking at universal law, of cause and effect, what you do to somebody else will be done to you. Okay, so now let's say that you kill somebody and you go to court, and one of the things that the judge or the jury looks for is whether or not you feel sorry for your actions, some sort of remorse. What happens if you feel you're justified in what you're doing, and you've broken the law, and there's no sense of remorse, no sense of compassion for the people you've affected? Like, how about the lives of the families of the people who were killed in that? That's a very devastating thing to have happen, to have somebody murdered. Okay, so what we're looking at here is where progress is and universal law. So the 7 principles are equality, liberty, freedom, compassion, abundance, capacity, and tolerance. And these are the principles that when there's ripples happening, that bring a sense of balance again. So, for example, equality under the law. Let's say that some elected official is using revenge, because that is allowing that person to get support from other people. An example of this is Donald Trump. An example of this is, let's say, Brett Kavanaugh, during his confirmation hearings. He he made a statement about the Clintons. And that was the point where, by saying that he was getting revenge on the Clintons, he got the support from the Republicans. Donald Trump, by getting revenge on President Obama, the Clintons, and Joe Biden, and even, I'm part of that idea too, from a very different perspective, because I support the plan for the international government. Okay. So by getting revenge, that is supposed to get support from a whole bunch of people. Let's say you're saying we don't like that person, and then the people that allows other people to judge them. That's how revenge works. Is if you can put somebody down, then somebody else can judge them, and if somebody else can judge them, then you can take what's theirs, and then if you can take what's theirs, you can own them, and then if you can own them, you can deny them a voice. And that's what voter suppression is all about, isn't it? The only problem is the word "if" doesn't work. If it's no, it doesn't work. There's in God, Lady God says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." You don't have the right to get revenge on anybody, because those are 5 power games, the 7 deadly sins, and you don't have the right to put anybody down, because spiritually speaking, what you see in somebody else, what is inside of you. You don't have the right to judge somebody. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Thou shalt not covet what is thy neighbor's. All these, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. These are all 7 deadly sins. These are all breaking the 10 commandments. We don't have the right to do that kind of thing. So what we have here is these are the principles of universal law. Now, when all of the lies are being told and all the things that are happening, you don't know what the truth is. You don't know what the truth is when people are telling the lies, because it just reaches the point where nobody knows who to trust. So how do you know how to tell the truth? What would happen if the tables were turned and somebody was doing that to you? Okay, what would happen if, let's say, in the Iraq War, it was our troops went over to Iraq and called those people insurgents. Now, we know what it's like to feel like the insurgency here in the United States, but what would happen if there was the world's largest army coming at you, and plus 30 other countries, and they were coming to topple your government? Okay? The people were going, oh, and then how about shooting somebody in their home without due process of the law? Somebody comes up to them and says, hey, that guy down the street is a terrorist, so the soldiers go there and shoot him. And what would happen if that guy's the terrorist and that guy's just has a job that this guy over here wants, and he's going to have this guy killed and not have any blame for what he had done, because the bad guys, the U.S. troops, were doing it. You see, this is all kind of like you have the right to defend yourself in court. Nobody can defend themselves from prejudice and ulterior motives. So does it help to say we have to reach across the aisle now, and we are going to extend our hands and in peace, and then the Democrats are saying, no, we can't do that. So then what the Republicans can say is, these guys are crazy. They don't want peace. They want war. Okay. So it's like ripple after ripple of effects that come out that causes all this problem. We're going to see a lot of that in the United States for a while, because there's 74 million Trump supporters who basically believed what Donald Trump told them. John Kerry said one time, he made a statement that he supported, when he voted for the Iraq War, he said, you should really expect that the President of the United States is telling the truth. That's one of the things that you should really kind of expect. Why did he lie to us? See what I mean? So what you're doing right now is you're looking at these principles about, we would like to see our country, the entire world, move forward. We don't want to see it stuck, where something happens like, how about abundance? What happens if all of those Trump supporters expected Donald Trump to make America great again, prosperous, helping them get their life, and basically they're angry at Joe Biden for throwing money at it, and that's not what it is. You're supposed to do tax cuts, and then problem is people don't, once people equate money and power, and they don't let go of money or power very easily. So the trickle down idea in economics doesn't work. There has to be a trickle up idea that when you're very prosperous, then they can tax you on that, and you don't really mind if you have all the prosperity. It's just when you don't have anything, like the King John and King Richard idea, that where you're taxing the poor to give to the rich, that's not very good. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say today. Right now is that do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Would you like insurgents to come and threaten to kill you? Do you want to have your family threatened? Then don't threaten somebody else's family. Don't do that to somebody else. Don't do to others what you don't want anybody to do to you. And that's how you know whether something is right. What would Jesus do? Is that kind of the idea? What would Jesus do? Jesus doesn't threaten other people. No. Okay. So, that's all for now. I ask you to like, share, and subscribe.